Let's actually talk about the Children of God. This was founded by a man named David Berg.
Doesn't have quite the ring to it that the last guy did.
No, no, but he is so much more evil.
Like, it doesn't scream cult leader like the other one did.
No, but this man is pure evil. I assure you.
Sounds fun.
Now let's talk about Berg and where he came from. He came from a long line of very committed Christians that worked as pastors, evangelists, stuff like that, ministers.
Mm-hmm.
His mother was an evangelist, very, very conservative, very fundamental, but she was very well known.
All right.
And something happened, though, with Berg, because when he was a small child, he was sexually abused by a nanny. Now, his mom got rid of the nanny immediately, right? But being so religious and, at the period of time, they really didn't get him any sort of mental help.
So
because of that,
he was sexually assaulted by the nanny, and they just fired her.
Just fired her. Yeah.
They didn't contact the authorities.
Nope. Just fired her.
Okay. This story should end well.
Oh, that's just, that's not all of the trauma that he dealt with either. Because as he was growing up, in Berg, started to do what maturing boys do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? His mother caught him multiple times, and she would always do things to humiliate him. Like,
there's a good way to scar a kid.
Like drag him out in front of the family, and she's starting to cut off his hands or whatever else he would touch himself with, stuff like that. It's pretty vicious.
What was wrong with this bitch?
Well, she was a very fundamental evangelist.
Like, that is as easy a way as I can think of to fuck a kid up for life.
Yeah. So this guy had a lot of trauma. Now, I just want to set up the scene and kind of so people can understand that
you're explaining, not excusing.
I'm not excusing. There's no excuse for what this man did. Okay. But I do want to say that this is sort of what set the stage for him to do what he
I
started
think
doing.
our audience is smart enough to understand the distinction between an explanation.
Yeah. I just want everyone to know I would never defend this man for anything he's ever done. Now, moving on, as Berg got older, he started to work in ministry as well.
Okay.
Worked in several different ministries, was fired from some. And eventually, he and his wife in 1968 found the Teens for Christ in California.
All right.
Basically just hippie Christianity, right? He's keeping all his very fundamental views. He was, anti-homosexual, anti-abortion. He had very strong beliefs about not teaching evolution in schools.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sort of mixed this with the hippie counterculture. And,
that seems like an odd mix, man.
Well, wait till you hear what else they mix with it.
Right.
And this really wasn't in there yet, right? But they make this group. And that was in 68. Now, in 1969, he takes them on the road and they start founding colonies in different cities. And that's when they become the Children of God.
Okay.
But with his fundamental Christianity and his the countercultural vibes with that, he also mixes in lots of sex.
As you do.
Yeah, he teaches that sex should bring you closer to God, and
I'm guess sex with him particularly brings you even closer to God somehow.
Now, I don't know that he actually said that, but not that he didn't participate in those type of things. But I don't know if he ever actually said that. But some really twisted stuff he would say is like, when you're having sexual relations, you should imagine Jesus joining in with you. But to be very careful not to have any homosexual interactions with Jesus in your imagination. At any rate, it's messed up. Now, I want to go back though, and
because Jesus can participate in orgies, just
as long as he doesn't touch another guy,
right? As long as there's no sword fighting going on.
And we laugh, but we're about to get something that's really terrible. So,
well, we'll get the humor out of the way.
To backtrack a little bit though, he starts all this, but from a young age, he's sexually abusing his daughters.
Oh,
yeah, he starts when the older one's 7, and this just continues.
Just to be clear, you're not talking like just physical abuse, are you?
No. He's doing anything and everything he wants.
Can we go like one episode without some poor abused child?
Well, I think the last episode we did
with
the con artists.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And this is it's bad because as the cult grows, he continues to do this. And now in 1970, he divorced his wife and married a woman named Karen Zerby, who has just really bought into his theology. And by the 70s, this group has grown to over 10,000 members by some reports, and they're all over the globe as well. They've started colonies everywhere.
When you say these colonies that he was forming, what, he just start them and then leave someone in charge and then move on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, they had a very, and this is probably why they grew so quickly, they had a very interesting method of spreading the word. It was something Berg came up with called flirty fishing.
The hell?
He would send out young female members. I don't mean underage at this point, but young, attractive women members out into the world to go and have sex with people to recruit them.
So, sex for Jesus?
Yep, and bring them back and have them join the cult.
More like prostitution for Jesus, I suppose.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? And it wasn't just Berg that was abusing young girls within there, though. Like there were all kinds of adult males that are constantly pursuing these young 12-year-old girls and stuff within the colonies, and it's a really terrible situation for kids. And there are documents, there's literature that they put out and letters that Berg has written where he encourages children to be sexually molested from a young age.
Okay. What do you mean by encouraged it?
Well, he says that.
What was his what was his twisted logic here?
Well, he thinks that sexual activity is very spiritual and brings you closer to Jesus, so they should start that with children when they're young. Oh, it's really terrible.
So now we're f***ing kids for Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he's telling them. And I'd like to say these people were just brainwashed, but I think you just have a lot of pedophiles that went in this group.
That sounds like about right. Yes.
Now,
I mean, if you didn't have a bunch of pedophiles to start with, that's certain to attract them.
Oh, for sure, right?
I mean, open season on 12-year-olds.
But they do try to keep that under wraps, obviously, so like the world at large doesn't know about it. So maybe that many of them were coming. I don't know. I don't know if they just knew where to find these people or what. But it's disturbing as hell.
Cult leaders are usually really good about knowing their demographic.
Right. Now, his wife Karen Zerby, known in the cult as Mother Maria, actually had a son with another man, and the boy's name was Ricky Rodriguez. And Berg decides to make an example of how to raise this kid with him being sexually abused from a young age, to show that this is how to make a perfect servant of God. And this kid was just tortured. He was poor kid,
sexual and physical abuse.
Yeah. Well, mostly just sexual abuse, yeah. Now,
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah,
was part of it because he was upset that she'd had a kid with another man?
No. He just thought this was how you should raise a kid. Obviously, it was all about free sex, so they could have sex with whoever in there they wanted to. So he didn't mind that she had a baby with another man. It was just now. As I said, there was the flirty fishing, stuff like that. In 1978, they end up renaming the group to the Family of Love. A disturbing name for what's going on there.
Yep.
But they do start losing membership at this point because people are finding out. It's some of your more entry level members don't know about this child abuse stuff, right?
These are just the guys that
they've been there for a while.
Right.
They know about it and they're pursuing these girls.
They came because they got laid.
Yeah, pretty much. You have families that come in too, right? Like I said, with Joaquin Phoenix's family, right? They come in, they see stuff, and then they got to get out,
Yeah.
But people also, they disagree with the flirty fishing. Like some people didn't even know about the child abuse, but they know about the flirty fishing, and they think this is a big problem, so they got to get out of there, right? And Berg responds to that, but he actually dismisses hundreds of people in leadership positions. but it doesn't seem to be to
just anyone who disagreed with the.
No, I don't think it's the people that disagree. I think it's people that he's dismissing them to make it look better to the bigger population of the group in general.
Okay.
If you know what I'm saying. Just like to regain some favor among the members and keep
pretending like he was trying to get rid of some of the worst actors.
But obviously that's not happening because Berg's still doing it himself, right?
So I'm guessing at this point he's not making it known widely that he thinks sexually abusing children from a young age is a good idea.
It is known within the group, but from my understanding of it is like if you're lower level within their group, you don't know about that.
Okay.
You have to have been there for a while until they try to indoctrinate you into it. Like, there was an interview with this one guy I saw that they were part of this cult and they thought, they really believed in the Christianity and the love of everybody together and living as a commune, right? And then one day someone approaches him wanting to have sex with a 13-year-old girl and he's like, go fuck yourself, we're out.
Yeah, and we're done.
Yeah. So stuff like that happens, in here. Like people find out and they get out, and they spread the word too. People start to find out about it.
That makes finding out about Zeno seem pretty mild by comparison.
Exactly right. Like Scientology, you find out what's going on there, and you're like,
okay, it's kind of fucking weird.
It's weird, but it's nothing compared to what these dudes.
No children are being molested, so.
So like as I said, people find out about this. By 1985, Berg sends out a document across his church denouncing and banning any sexual contact between adults and minors.
A few years too late, I suppose.
Right. Well, firstly, it is such a problem that you have to send this document out.
Yep.
To start with. Secondly,
what kind of congregation do you have that's needed?
Right. Secondly, he's still doing it. Right.
Right.
And I don't think it ever really stops. I think this is just, again, for appearances, right? Because at this point, he's not getting rid of the people that are doing it.
He's just trying to appease the people who are disturbed.
Right. Like you've got the same people in charge at all of these colonies. It's going to keep going.
Right.
It's not stopping anything.
It's almost like the pedophilia will continue until you get rid of the pedophiles.
Yeah. Now, Berg did all kinds of sick stuff. Like he would have young underage girls do nude dances and stuff for the whole group.
Oh, dear God.
And in colonies where he wasn't there, they'd videotape it and send it to him. Right. And then Berg would send out a request for, I want that girl to come be a part of my household. And at the time, these girls don't know what's about to happen.
When you say his household, is that what he referred to his particular branch of the cult as?
Yeah.
Or did they serve as servants inside his
No.
home?
It's like his branch of the cult, like his area, right?
Okay.
But he takes them in and then he proceeds to have a sexual relationship with them. He even did this with his own granddaughter.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. And when she rejected him and wouldn't let him touch her, he made this example of her and had her punished severely.
What does that entail? Do I want to know what that entails?
Isolation, beating, people just constantly telling her that, she's going against God's will, stuff like that. It gave her severe emotional scarring.
Torture and gaslighting, basically.
Torture and gaslighting. Yeah. And this was a 12-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl they were doing this to. And, if you're willing to rape your own granddaughter, you'll do anything. But on top of that, when she makes you stop and you basically destroy her entire life with this punishment, what kind of evil, sick person does this take?
Oh God. I don't know. A horrific one. One with no moral compass whatsoever.
None whatsoever. Or a very twisted one in any rate. Now, this keeps going on. By 1989, they shortened the name just to the family. And then Berg dies in Portugal in 1994.
Was it slow and painful?
Not that I know of, just natural causes, seems like. What disturbs me the most about this is this guy got away with that for forever.
Yeah.
He
never faced consequences.
Never faced any consequences for this crap. And it really bothers me. I wish we could bring him back to life so we could torture the dude.
Yeah. What years did this happen in?
Well, this started in the 70s, right? And Berg didn't die until 94. Now, the cult's still going strong now. His wife, Karen Zerby, Mother Maria, she took over as leader after he died. And they stopped going by the family, started going by the Family International. And she's done a lot to distance them from the sexual abuse. I don't know that if she's really tried to stop it. I can hope that she has. But she's really tried to push away from that and make it something different, at least in public opinion.
I mean, this sounds like a pedophile got a position of power and just used it to abuse as many children as possible.
He created a position of power so that he could do that. And it's messed up. Now, another thing I want to mention about this, though, is that a lot of children who have come out of this cult, they're so scarred and, have so many mental and emotional issues after this. I mean, and they don't know how to survive in the world. That they don't make it when they get out. A lot of them die young, suicide.
Well, it's a cult, for one. Like, all of the skills that you would learn to get by in life are basically intentionally kept from you to keep you indoctrinated.
Right.
No critical thinking skills. I mean, my guess is you don't really learn, you don't even learn so much as a trade, much less get a proper education.
Right.
So everything you would need to have any upward mobility in society is intentionally kept from you.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, add the horrific psychological and physical abuse. And I mean,
now, if you will remember, I mentioned the child that Karen Zerby had that Berg was raising, Ricky Rodriguez, and the one that he's trying to hold up on this pedestal. He's abusing this kid from a young age to make him this great leader of their church.
Right.
And this kid, he gets out, when he's an adult. And he has so many issues from it. And in 2005, he goes back and he doesn't rejoin, but he goes in, he's trying to find his mother, because from what I can tell, he wants to kill his mother and he wants to find his half-sister and get her out of there. And he never can locate them. But he ends up finding one of his former nannies who had abused him, and he murders her. And then he commits suicide shortly thereafter.
Oh, dear God.
I mean, it's a sad story, but that actually got a lot of more media attention aimed in at the Family International at that point. And, people have really...
When he found this woman, do we know if she had any other instances of child abuse since then? Like, had she been in prison or anything like that?
No, I'm sure she hadn't been in prison, because this was, she was part of the cult, right?
Was she?
Yeah.
Oh,
she was one of his nannies within the cult. Like, one of the people
didn't know
that was there and was abusing him, by and allowing him to be abused by whoever. Right?
I thought this was pre-cult. Okay.
No. This was, he was born into the cult.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So, so he ends up, murdering this woman was one of his caretakers, and then he kills himself after. It's a terrible story, but it illustrates what this does to people, and even the people that make it out of there after having been abused, and as I said, I'm not trying to say that, make an excuse for why someone abuses a child, but they're creating more abusers, right?
Well, of course, yeah.
And this is like, it's a vicious cycle, but they've done it to so many kids in this particular group.
It just sounds like a hell, dude.
It is. This is, honestly, to me, this is probably the worst cult.
One of the worst I've heard of. I mean, just the child abuse alone puts it on a different level.
Yeah. I mean, there was no mass suicide or anything with this one, but it's...
I mean, honestly, I wish the adults had just went ahead and done that.
Well, yeah, as long as they let the kids go,
children,
right?
Jesus.
Yeah. But this is it's a group where it's, there's no positives to it seems like, at all.
I mean, there are rarely any positives to cults worth.
No, but I mean, I think a lot of people, when they join a cult, they do find a sense of community and family that they may have been lacking.
Right, but that's usually them being manipulated.
It is
indoctrinated. But I at least understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, some cults though, I feel like if they don't harm their members or other people, it's probably harmless for for people to join and feel like they've got a place.
Right.
But the ones we're going to look at, we're never going to look at one that does that, because there's no like crime element to it.
Right.
But I feel like this, to me, of the cults I've researched, this is the worst of them to me.
Jesus.
Now some people could say that the Jim Jones's group, because there was a lot of murder and stuff there, but
like the murder is terrible. But my understanding is that there wasn't like ritual child abuse in Jonestown.
Mm-mm.
I mean, this seemed to be a cult designed for and by pedophiles.
Yes, that I completely agree with that. Berg was obviously a pedophile before he started. He was abusing his own daughters, and just built this environment where it's normal.
And he got away with that his entire life.
Yeah, got away with it his whole life. Jesus. Nothing ever happened to this man. And that's the worst part of it, right? How can this go on forever and this guy not be caught? Obviously, they were investigated.
I think it's just a testament to how insulated cults can be.
And they were investigated multiple times, but with no one, no real evidence, no parents that would cover it up.
The thing is, with cults, often the very victims are the ones defending it.
Yep.
Brainwashed. So there's just not a lot that the justice system can do.
Completely brainwashed.
If you enjoyed this segment from the Fact and Suspicion podcast and want to hear more, you can find the full episode here on YouTube, on iTunes, Spotify, or just about anywhere else you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.